Hello traders, John at StockBookie.com. Today we're looking at the SPY, the IWM, the Qs, the DIA, the IYT, the USO, the UUP, and the GLD. We follow the daily, weekly, monthly timeframes. We use technical analysis here at StockBookie.com. Go to our website, StockBookie.com, sign up for a free membership for more videos like this, live streaming action, email alerts, trade ideas, and some educational stuff as time goes by. So let's get right to the daily SPY. Again, we're trying to hold on to the 20 MA. We did have a dividend payout, so we did come in a little bit last week. No great shakes. Still holding this. Still above the 50. Still above the 200. Nothing wrong. A little bit of a bullish consolidation inside an inside bar bearish consolidation. So this closed below here. You know what? I got to see more next week. We only had 52 million on the day, so light volume holding these markets up. Until we start getting more volume in this market, I think we could just go sideways. Maybe a slight pullback, but nothing crazy. But again, if you're bullish, you need to get back above the 20 MA, these trend lines here, and then a possible shoot up to the 242.39. If not, if it makes it through there, then the next level is 252.14. 250 is a big even number too. We'll get there, and then we'll take it, each and every day. If you're bearish, you need to continue down. You need to get past this little pivot here around the 235.81, and then we could possibly come back in, fill this gap here right around 235, and then you have the 382 retrace as well. And I'd like to see a little bit of a sideways pattern before we come in, but if it starts to come in, then we have good resistance or support coming down in this area. So just beware what's going on. Bullish above this area, bearish. It just needs to consolidate and possibly more downside. We'll keep a close eye on it this week. For again, we still have light volume. Let's look at the IWM. IWM a little bit weak on the day. It was 60 cents down. Nothing to scare you. It did close below the 20 MA, so that's a little bit of a sign saying, hey, a little bit weak. But again, boom, 3 days up right into this area, try to recapture the 20 MA. Now it's going in a bullish consolidation. So let's see if we can continue sideways on the 618 and then the pop up. If you're bullish, you need to get above this line around 140, 140 and 50 cents or so right in there, 40 cents or 30 cents. It needs to get above there and above the 140.86, and this one will possibly continue up. We'll look for confirmation up here. Playing it more on the weekly chart. So again, nothing wrong. Above the MAs, trying to break out here. Let's see if we can consolidate, get some more pressure. If you're bearish, you need to keep closing below this 20 MA, below the 50 MA, and then we'll see how this reacts. Here with this trend line, this is where the old breakout was, broke out, came right back in, tried to make another breakout, and it's coming right back in onto the 20 MA here. So again, nothing wrong. Light volume today, even if we sold down a little bit. But, when we're getting these light volume in the SPY, the IWM, the DIA, the Qs, it's just going to float. That's pretty much what we're doing here, guys. Easy for the market to maintain just price level and not really do much. But with action like this, you will get some pretty good action and some stocks going up and down or wherever these big institutional players need these stocks to be, so they could pay the least amount of premium on the options. So just like last week, guys, options X. All right, so the Qs, again, nothing wrong, consolidating above the 20 MA. This is the daily chart. I want to see it close above the 132.41. It attacked it here, came right back in. Just chopping around sideways above the MAs, like we said. Bullish consolidation. Let's see if we move up. It needs to get back through a 132.41. Then I'm thinking 33, 134, 135, 135 area, and then we'll have to play it from there. If you're bearish, you want to get back below the 20 MA, fill the gap, couple gaps down here that it didn't fill, and down here as well. But again, great support up here, a little bit of resistance. But again, if it can't get through here, it's going to take the path of least resistance and then start falling into support. We'll watch these levels, gap fill, you have a trend line, you have the 50 MA, and then we'll see how it reacts, if it does ever come down. Again, light volume on the day, as you can see, the green bar. No volume, guys, no conviction unless we get something going on in the market, some news or something, then you might possibly get some selling. Then it's all news driven like everything else at this point. So the DIA, again, closed right on top of the 20 MA. This is, overall it's bullish, but this is a slight bearish pattern up here. Still above all the MA, so there's nothing wrong with this, but you got to just be aware of that. We did fill the gap once, but if you're bullish, you need to get back above the 211.59 area and go for the 214, 215, possibly higher. We'll take it one step at a time. But if that doesn't pop up and this thing starts to give it up, a lot of times these patterns at all-time highs will make a bigger move down. So you have to be aware of that. You have a couple gaps here. If we come in and stick a Fibonacci from that pivot to this pivot, let's see what we get there. Yeah, we have the 75 or the 250, 318 or 382, 618 around 202.87. So just keep this in mind. Anything's possible, guys, with these markets. But if they start giving it up, we might see a pretty quick and painless move down. And who knows? I'm still thinking we come down to the 189 area. Just the 200 MA on all the charts. It's got to come down. It hasn't been near it for, you know, at least the DIA. Last time I touched it didn't in November. That's when it popped up. So you got a lot of time where it hasn't touched. And this is sometimes home base. So you just got to be aware of that. You don't want to wake up and this thing's come crashing down and you're stuck in some longs. That's why I keep telling longs, tighten the stops. Just be aware. We're in the time frame where this thing can all fall apart. Just be careful. IYT, this is the one we keep track of. This one keeps breaking down. We are below this trend line. This was a big trend line here. But we are coming into gap fill. We did fill it, but it will come down again, you know, into the old gap fill, I should say. And then you have a lot of support down in this area. If that cracks, you're going to the 160 area or this pivot, no problem. There is a small gap fill right around 160.39, so you have to respect it. And you have a couple other ones too. You got a gap down here, blah, blah, blah. But at this point, this one should be leading. We talked about it, and then finally it popped up here and never kept leading though. Every time we shot up and started going, people get sucked in, boom, right back. But if this trend line breaks, if we can't get it back above and even above these moving averages, I'm expecting lower prices to happen. But right now, inside bar, bullish pattern, but we are back below this this little trend line, so that's kind of talking to us. Again, nothing really wrong. We are back below the MAs here, so you have to respect that. And again, it's weak. This should be leading. If the markets want to continue up, this one should be leading up. In my opinion, of course, guys. The USO, again, down, choppy, sloppy. We did fill the gap down here, bounced up, right back into this area of which was once support. Now it's resistance. Now it's chopping around in a slight bearish manner below all the MAs. This is a weak one, guys. It needs to retrace back up into this area if he wants, you know, higher prices. If this thing does not and just sticks around down here, this can easily go down to 956 or fill the gap right here at 987. So just be aware of that. It was a little bit weak today, nothing great, but again, down, sideways, kind of like this pattern, down, choppy, sideways. This is a sideways bearish pattern. Even though we're above the MAs, where it's like, okay, it's back above the MAs, it's a little bit strong, and then all of a sudden a nice retrace to the next drive down. So be careful in stocks right now, guys, especially if you're long. This one's kind of talking to us. We've got to see if this thing's going to, this thing takes another leg down. Be very, very careful in these markets. The UUP. Let's see, UUP was up a penny, nothing big, holding this area. This is another bearish pattern here, though, guys. So this thing's got to start moving around, you know, start turning its way back up. If not, you have a gap to fill down here at 25.80. And I think we could easily come to 25.65 and then the 200 MA around 25.42. If this does come down into the 25.40 area, 25.10 area, we'll have to see how it, you know, if it goes sideways for another couple days and then starts to go, you know, maybe even this area down in here around 25 bucks with the gap fill. So let's see if this pattern starts to play out, or do we just pop right back above the moving average and continue up? They need this to go down, the central bankers and grandma, but if they make this go down, oil goes up. Gold will go up too, but oil goes up. This little experiment by the central bankers and the Federal Reserve, they cannot withstand higher oil prices, in my opinion. So they're going to keep it low. So even if this comes down, the oil should go up, but that oil should start slipping, or if it does start slipping, be aware of that. That is a bad sign for the markets. But right now, nothing wrong with this. Still setting up, possibly in a bearish manner. I need more proof on the chart to make that decision. And then we'll get to the GLD. GLD, boom. right back above. When it was coming in, slightly bearish, and we're like, hey, we need this thing to consolidate a little bit more to see where this thing's going, to see if this could possibly break down lower. And boom, Janet Yellen opened her big trap, right back up, pulled back off the 20, popped right back in. So now we're back above the 20 and the 50 in an okay stance. Let's see if we can start making the next move up. Remember, around 120 or so, there's big resistance coming from this chart, the daily, and going into the weekly with the 200 and the 50 MA here. So we had a nice reversal last week. Let's see if we could continue this up. My goal is if we could close above this 120.47 area, 120.35 area, I think we're going higher. But again, one step at a time, looking at the daily, we did have a good push up. Let's see if we can consolidate for the next move higher. We do have a trend line up here coming from connecting the highs. So that's another level too we'll be looking at as soon as we get there, if we do. You know, one day at a time, guys. Each piece of the puzzle is, you know, each day gives us a piece of the puzzle to figure out where this thing's going. Yes, right now we did capture the MAs again. Great sign for gold. Doesn't mean we could just click and go right back down. We'll watch for bullish consolidation here, see if we could get the next pop. So that's what we're looking for at this point. We are still long the GLD. We have been long. We were adding as this thing's coming down. Our average price is right around 110.29 or so, give or take a penny or two. But yeah, I mean, we're fine. Let this thing go back up, and then hopefully we get the 125. I'll sell half, and maybe we get a little bit more running up on this chart. We're going to do Jnug one more time here, maybe a couple more times. A lot of people have been asking me about that. Jnug was up 36 cents today. Not a great showing, but hey, we'll take what it can give us. This is a great technical play. Gap fill, bounce, comes back, do it again, boom, right back up, right to the big resistance, pulls back for 2 days. Now it's kind of chopping around. Kind of, you know, inside bar, bullish pattern. We'll see if this thing plays out, but slightly overall, it is bearish. It could go either way. Gold continues up. This should start going up. But you need a big move in the GLD for this one to start going. But again, nothing wrong as long as it's making higher lows. If this thing starts coming out and hitting this low pivot, then most likely on the Jnug, you're coming down to fill the gap or possibly double bottom at 383. If it does break this area around $5. We're going to keep an eye on this one. Again, it does move with the GLD, but if the GLD just kind of sits and does nothing, this one seems to be just, you know, just a fade job. So we got to make sure GLD starts to spike up. If it does, this one should follow. Again, it's like the VXX. If it just sits around, it just decays, and that's not good. You need the gold, another couple big moves, and this can easily be, you know, a $12 stock again. You know, honestly though, if gold really starts to rumble, this can easily go to $15. But it can easily go to 3 too. So right now it's really not telling us too much other than a slight pullback here off of resistance, and then we'll take it, you know, each and every day as it comes. Weekly chart. Weekly chart a little bit more bearish. Need to get above the 758, which is the 20 MA. We get above that on the weekly, then yes. Then I'm thinking right here, 1083, and then possibly the double top around 1304. So one day at a time on these charts, guys. Let's put the pieces of the puzzle together and try to figure out which way these stocks are going to go. All right, that's it for today. Again, if you like my videos, like my live streams, go to my website, sign up for the free membership at StockBookie.com. It's not going to be free forever, guys, and just enjoy it. And let's do some live stuff this week, try to find new trades, and go from there. All right, guys, thanks again for watching. God bless. See you on the charts.